All right, so today we're diving into Proverbs 23.
Okay.
It's really a fascinating chapter.
It is.
It's full of all of this ancient wisdom about how to live a good life.
Yeah, and I think what's really cool is that even though it was written thousands of years ago,
Yeah,
so much of it still applies to our lives today.
I think so too.
Like the stuff about relationships and money and temptation, it's
Yeah.
all still so relevant.
Yeah, and it starts out with this really interesting image of dining with a ruler.
Right.
Like, what would you even do in that situation?
Well, the first few verses actually give us some advice on that. They talk about the importance of self-control,
Oh, interesting.
especially when you're faced with all sorts of delicious food.
Oh, yeah, like you don't want to just like stuff your face, right?
Exactly. It's about being mindful and not overindulging,
Right,
even when you're tempted.
makes sense.
And I think this applies to more than just food.
Okay, how so?
Well, it's about having self-control in all areas of our lives.
Oh, I see.
Like with our money, our
Yeah.
time,
Right.
our words.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It's about being disciplined and making wise choices.
So how does that tie into the whole dining with a ruler thing?
Well, I think it's about being aware of the image we're projecting
Okay,
and not letting our desires get the best of us,
that makes sense.
especially in a situation where appearances matter.
Right, you don't want to make a fool of yourself in front of like a king or something.
Exactly.
So it's not just about the food, it's about the whole social situation.
Right. It's about being savvy
I like that.
and having good judgment.
Okay, so what else does Proverbs 23 have to say about money?
Well, verses 4 and 5 talk about the fleeting nature of wealth.
Oh, yeah.
It warns us that riches can disappear quickly.
Like they say, easy come, easy go.
Exactly. And the proverb uses this really vivid image of wealth sprouting wings
Okay.
and flying away like an eagle.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
It is.
So what are some modern-day eagles that we need to watch out for?
Well, I think one of the biggest ones is impulsive spending.
Oh, yeah.
It's so easy to get caught up in the moment
Mhm.
and buy things we don't really need.
And then you regret it later.
Exactly. Another modern-day eagle is debt.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
It can really weigh you
It's
down
like a trap.
and make it hard to achieve your financial goals.
So it sounds like Proverbs 23 is telling us to be really careful with our
It
money
is.
and not to chase after wealth that can disappear so easily.
Right. It's about finding true security
Okay,
and contentment in things that are more lasting.
that makes sense.
It's like relationships and purpose.
Speaking of relationships,
Yes,
the next few verses talk about choosing our company wisely.
they do.
And I have to say, I could really relate to verse 6.
Oh, yeah. What does it say?
It says, don't eat the food of a stingy person.
Right.
Don't crave his delicacies.
I love that.
I've definitely met people like that.
Oh, yeah. We all have.
You know, the ones who are always counting every penny?
Yes. The ones who nickel and dime you to death.
Exactly. And it's like they just suck the joy out of everything.
It's like they're afraid to enjoy life.
Totally. It's exhausting being around them.
And you know what else?
What?
Proverbs also warns us about fools.
Fools.
Yeah, those who refuse to listen or learn.
Okay.
It says it's a waste of breath to argue with them.
Oh, that's so true.
It's like trying to explain the beauty of a sunset
Yeah.
to someone who's determined to keep their eyes closed.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Exactly. Sometimes it's better to just walk away.
And save your energy for people who are actually open to learning.
Right. It's about being discerning in our interactions.
We've talked about food and money and friends.
Right.
What else does Proverbs 23 cover?
Though the next section gets a little more serious.
Okay.
It talks about justice and protecting the vulnerable.
Oh, interesting.
Specifically, verses 10 and 11 mention the ancient practice of moving boundary markers.
Boundary markers?
Yeah, these were stones or landmarks that were used to mark property lines.
Okay.
And moving them was a serious offense because it meant stealing land.
So it's about respecting boundaries.
Exactly, and not taking advantage of people who are weaker than us.
That's a really important message.
It is.
And it's still relevant today.
Absolutely.
Like we see it in things like exploitation and abuse of power.
Right, whenever someone tries to take what rightfully belongs to another.
And the proverb actually uses this really powerful image.
Oh,
It talks about a redeemer
okay.
who fights for the defenseless.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
It is.
It suggests that there's someone who's looking out for those who can't protect themselves.
So even in the midst of injustice,
Yes,
there's hope.
there is hope.
That's encouraging.
And you know what else is encouraging?
What?
The next section talks about parental wisdom.
A parental wisdom. Okay.
Yeah, starting with verse 12.
All right, let's hear it.
It says, apply your heart to instruction
Okay.
and your ears to words of knowledge.
So it's about being open to learning.
Yeah, and not just for ourselves, but also for our children.
Right, we have a responsibility to teach them what we know.
Exactly. And to guide them in the way they should go.
But that can be tough, right?
It can be.
Kids don't always want to listen,
That's true.
and they definitely don't always want to do what we tell them.
No, but that's where discipline comes in.
Ooh, discipline, that's a tough one.
It can be.
Especially in today's world.
Right, it's a sensitive topic.
But I think Proverbs 23 is trying to get at something deeper here.
I agree.
It's not just about punishing kids.
No.
It's about shaping their character
Right.
and helping them develop into responsible adults.
And that takes a lot of patience.
Oh, yeah.
And consistency.
And love.
Absolutely.
You know, one of my favorite verses in this section
Which one?
is verse 15.
Okay, what does it say?
It says, "My son, if your heart is wise, my heart will rejoice as well."
Oh, that's beautiful.
It is, isn't it?
It speaks to the deep joy that parents feel
Yeah.
when their children make good choices.
It's like all the hard work is worth it.
Exactly.
So even though discipline can be tough,
Right.
it's ultimately for the good of our kids.
And for our own good, too.
How so?
Well, when our children are wise,
Yeah.
it brings us peace and joy.
That's true.
And it reflects well on us as parents.
So it's a win-win situation.
It is.
Okay, so we've talked about food, money, friends, justice, and parenting.
We have.
What else is there?
Well, the next section deals with the ever-present challenge of temptation.
Ooh, temptation.
Yeah, starting with verse 17 says, "Do not let your heart envy sinners, but always be zealous for the fear of the Lord."
Okay, so what does that mean?
Well, I think it's about focusing on the right things.
Like what?
Instead of being envious of those who are living a life of sin,
Yeah.
we should be focused on honoring God
Okay.
and living a life that pleases Him.
So it's about having the right priorities.
Exactly.
And then the proverb goes on to warn us about carousing and overindulgence.
Right. It says that too much sleep clothes a man with rags.
Wow, that's a pretty vivid image.
It is.
What do you think it means?
Well, I think it's about the dangers of laziness
Okay.
and overindulgence.
So it's not just about getting enough sleep. It's about finding a balance
Right.
between work and rest
Exactly.
and between enjoying life's pleasures
Yes.
and being responsible.
It's about finding that sweet spot
I like that.
where we're taking care of our responsibilities, but also enjoying the good things that life has to offer.
Okay, so now we're starting to get a fuller picture of what Proverbs 23 is all about.
We are.
It's about making wise choices
Yes.
in all areas of our lives.
Right.
And it's about finding true fulfillment,
And contentment.
not in fleeting pleasures,
No.
but in things that are lasting and meaningful.
Absolutely.
You know what else I find interesting about this chapter?
What?
It doesn't shy away from addressing some of the darker aspects of human nature.
You're right.
Like in verses 26 through 28, it talks about promiscuity and infidelity.
And it uses some pretty strong language.
It describes it as a dangerous trap.
And a narrow well.
It's a sobering reminder
Yeah.
that our choices in relationships have serious consequences. And finally, the chapter ends with a warning about alcohol abuse.
Right. Verses 29 through 35 paint a very graphic picture
Yeah.
of the physical and emotional toll that excessive drinking can take.
It's like looking into a distorted mirror,
It is.
reflecting the destructive power of addiction,
And it's a reminder that we need to be mindful of our choices.
especially when it comes to substances that can be harmful.
Absolutely.
So what do we do with all of this?
Well, I guess we'll have to unpack that in the next part.
Okay, sounds good.
So we're talking about all this great advice in Proverbs 23.
Yeah, it's like a guidebook for life.
It really is. And, one of the things that keeps coming up
Yeah,
is this idea of wisdom.
right, like how to be wise.
Exactly. But what does that even mean?
Yeah, it's kind of a hard thing to define.
It is, isn't it?
It's not just about being smart
No, definitely not.
or knowing a lot of facts.
Right.
It's something more than that.
I think it's about applying knowledge
Okay.
to real life.
So it's like practical knowledge.
Yeah, it's about making good decisions,
Uh-huh.
even when things are tough.
And being able to see the big picture,
Exactly.
not just getting caught up in the moment.
And I think it also involves learning from our mistakes.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Because nobody's perfect.
Nobody's perfect, no.
We all mess up sometimes.
Definitely.
The key is to learn from those mistakes.
Right, and not make them again.
Exactly.
You know what else I think is really cool about Proverbs 23?
What's that?
The way it uses all these vivid images
Oh, yeah.
to get its point across.
Like what?
Well, like that image of wealth sprouting wings and flying away like an eagle.
Right.
That's such a powerful way to describe how fleeting money can be.
It really is.
And then there's that image of the wine biting like a snake.
Oh,
and
yeah.
stinging like a viper.
That one's intense.
It is, but it really drives home the point about the dangers of alcohol abuse.
Yeah, it's not sugarcoating it.
Not at all.
It's being very direct about the consequences.
I think that's part of what makes Proverbs 23 so effective.
How so?
It's not just telling us what to do.
Yeah.
It's also showing us the why
Right. It's appealing to our emotion.
and our imagination.
Exactly.
So how do we actually cultivate wisdom?
Well, I don't think there's any one-size-fits-all answer.
Okay.
But I think it starts with being open to learning from others.
So reading books,
Yes.
listening to podcasts,
Exactly.
talking to people who are wiser than us.
Right.
And I think it also involves being self-aware,
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Knowing our own strengths and weaknesses.
And being honest about our mistakes.
So we can learn from them.
Exactly.
Speaking of mistakes,
Yes.
you're going to tell me about that dinner party story.
Oh, yeah, the one with the stingy person?
Yes, I want to hear all about it.
Okay, so we were celebrating a friend's birthday,
Okay.
and this one person insisted on separate checks.
Oh, no.
Even though we had all ordered similar meals.
That's so awkward.
It was, and it got worse.
How would it get worse?
This person actually pulled out a spreadsheet.
A spreadsheet?
Yeah.
At the dinner table?
At the dinner table?
No way.
To calculate the exact cost of each shared appetizer.
Oh, my God.
Down to the penny.
You're kidding.
I'm not kidding.
I can't even imagine.
It was unreal.
So what did you guys do?
Well, we just kind of sat there in stunned silence.
I bet.
It was like something out of a movie.
It's like a cautionary tale.
It really
About the dangers of stinginess.
Exactly. And you know what?
What?
It made me realize how important it is to be generous.
Yeah, generosity is so important.
It's not just about money. It's
Right.
about being willing to share.
Our time,
Our resources.
our love.
Exactly.
And, Proverbs 23 also talks about the importance of family.
It does.
And I love that image of a parent's heart rejoicing when their child chooses wisdom.
Oh, me too.
It's just such a beautiful picture of the joy that comes from raising wise children.
And the responsibility that comes with it.
Right. It's not always easy.
No, but it's so worth it.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
From food to money to relationships.
To wisdom and temptation.
And even addiction.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, but I think it's all incredibly relevant
I agree.
to our lives today.
Even though it was written thousands of years ago.
So what's the one thing you want our listeners to take away from this deep dive?
It's tough to pick just one thing.
Oh, I know, right?
There's so much good stuff in there.
Yeah.
But I think if I had to choose,
Mm-hmm.
it would be to never stop seeking wisdom.
Oh, I like that.
Because it's not like we just wake up one day and we're wise.
Right. It's a process.
Yeah, it's a journey.
And it's a journey that lasts our whole lives.
Exactly. And it's not always easy.
Oh, definitely not.
There are going to be bumps in the road, setbacks.
Mistakes, but that's all part of it.
It is.
And I think one of the best ways to seek wisdom
Yeah,
is to learn from others.
absolutely.
Find people who are wiser than you.
Right, like mentors.
Teachers, family.
Even people we've never met, like
Yes.
authors or speakers.
Right. We can learn from anyone.
Exactly, as long as they have something to teach us.
I think that's what's so cool about Proverbs 23.
Yeah.
It's like this collection of wisdom from people who lived thousands of years ago.
Right, like they're still speaking to us today.
It's amazing.
And you know what else I think is important?
What's that?
Humility.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Because none of us have all the answers.
Nope.
We all have things to learn.
But we're all going to make mistakes.
Exactly. So being humble is key.
It allows us to be open to new ideas
And to learn from our mistakes.
and to grow as people.
Right, because wisdom is all about growth.
It is.
It's about becoming more and more like the people we were created to be.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And Proverbs 23 also reminds us that we're not alone on this journey.
Right. We have each other.
And we have God.
And I think that's really encouraging
It is.
because it means that no matter what challenges we face,
Yeah,
we have the support we need to overcome them.
absolutely. And, at the end of the day, wisdom is about more than just knowledge.
Right?
It's about living a good life.
A life that's full of meaning and purpose
And joy.
and love
And peace.
and all those good things.
Exactly.
Well, I think that's a great note to end on.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into Proverbs 23.
It's been a pleasure.
We hope you learned something new
And that you'll keep seeking wisdom.
in all areas of your life.
Until next time.
Bye.